Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show with Carol and your daily cast of characters, where we discuss the issues of the day, entertainment news, what's really going on in Washington, and the world. Why don't we just hear it from the horse's mouth himself?
We can't have someone in the Oval Office who doesn't understand the meaning of the word confidential or classified. I don't think it's safe to be briefed on national security because the word will get out. I know at some point they're going to be calling, they're going to want to brief me, but I'm not a talker about this stuff. This is like Watergate, only it's worse. Because here, our foreign enemies were in a position to hack our most sensitive national security secrets.
Of course, it turns out the Russians didn't need to hack Hillary's email server. They were able to hack Trump's mouth.
This is like Watergate, only it's worse.
The Lee Michaels Show on the Power of Voices Radio Network.
Welcome to the show. We are live and direct from Los Angeles. Yes, indeed. How are you today? Everything good? All right, there I am. Welcome to the Lee Michaels Show with Carol and the cast of characters. And today, we have a special guest that will be here in the studio shortly. Recording artist, humanitarian, author, mom, a sweet person. Sherry Brown will be here in the studio, along with another special guest. So we're going to have a really fun pack. And Sherry's even bringing her guitar. She's going to do a little singing and playing for us. How about that? That's right here on the Lee Michaels Show on thepowerofvoices.com, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope, and all the rest. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you. I hope all is well with you. The world has not come to an end, even though we have a complete idiot as the President of the United States. So hang in there, folks. It's going to be okay. Trust me when I tell you. One maniac, one buffoon is not going to end the world. Not yet. And our friends over in North Korea are taking a back seat now. They're calming down because they realize that it's no way they're going to win. In fact, here's Sherry calling now. Hey, Sherry, you must be lost, right? Oh, well, come on in. Suite 135. Well, just come on. Someone will let you in. Bye. Carol, will you? She says she is at the door. Oh, and Brian must have locked the door. I don't know. Anyway, Sherry Brown is on her way into the studio here, and we'll have her on camera here in just a few moments, and we'll find out what Sherry's doing. She's doing some wonderful things, and it should be an exciting show today. Thank you again for joining us. 424-227-9461 is our call-in number, 424-227-9461. If you'd like to call in and ask a question for Sherry, that's cool in the gang. It's no problem. We can do that. All right? 424-227-9461. I'll put that number up on the screen for those who may be driving or in the office or just not right there where you can write it down at this moment. So let me get that in here for you. 424-22. Let's put a little space in there. 9461. All right. Bingo, bango. There you go. Let's make it a little smaller. All right. See how that works, folks? It's magic. And then we'll pull this down here in the black so you can see it. Boom. There you go. All right. 424-227-9461. And that's how you can get in touch with us here and be a part of the show. All right? Cool in the gang? All right, let me make one other little video adjustment here. Something has changed some of my settings around for some reason. Let's do this. You got a black screen there for a second. And I'm going to bring in this one, maybe. Yeah, there you go. All right. And you can see my Chrome Dome there. 424-227-9461. You can call in and ask questions to recording artist Sherry Brown, who's about to join us here in the studio. There are a lot of things going on. The Bushes have put out a joint statement. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Last night I was watching CNN after I left here. Tuesdays is my late night here at the studio. And when I got in, I turned on CNN, and what's that governor's name from Arizona? That just repulsive human being. And she was on screen. Hey, Sherry, come on in. She was on TV with a couple other pundits, and she got reamed inside out. I mean, she just made a complete fool of herself. And I loved it. She wanted to be argumentative, and she just really couldn't hold an argument because everything she said just didn't make sense. She's trying to support the president, and anybody that does that, as far as I'm concerned, has zero credibility in this world. And why anybody would stand up and try to support this guy is just beyond my comprehension. Just no way.
My friend was doing that yesterday, and she's Hispanic, and she's like, Trump's amazing. I said, he don't give 2 cents about you, sweetie. You better pay attention.
I don't think people are really paying attention.
She doesn't.
Anybody that
she doesn't
thinks
watch the news.
That this guy cares about anybody other than himself and his family, and I think if push come to shove, he'll throw his family members under the bus.
Didn't
because
his daughter
he's that
come
selfish.
in and say something different than what he was saying?
Well, she said that, the racist people there in Virginia were wrong. She called it, she named them, but he didn't for, 2 days afterwards?
He came back with a different story.
Yeah, well, he's still trying to make excuses for bad behavior of these horrible people. Yeah, there you go. Everybody pull in close there. And good. Let me see if we got everybody. Let's see. Sherry, you're going to... Let me see. Let me get you framed up here. All right. We got recording artist and a wonderful person, Sherry Brown, in the studio today. And, all right, let me get you on cam there. All right. She's still getting all set up and everything. You brought your guitar today, too, huh?
I did.
Oh, my.
No.
Well, welcome to the show. And who's your other guest you have with you?
This is Dr. LaFon Gordon.
Well, welcome, Doctor. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Are you a PhD, MD, XYZ, or ABC?
PhD.
All right.
Clinical psychologist.
That's too bad because I'm looking for an MD. I need a doctor. I don't have a doctor here in California, so I was hoping you were a doctor.
What do they call a man doctor, though, that does examinations like us women? We have, a gynecologist?
Yeah.
What do they call a man doctor that checks you guys?
I don't know. I just go to a regular MD. I don't want to see any of them.
We go to a gynecologist.
Yeah. Well, what's the guy that deals with your private parts?
A gynecologist.
Well, yeah, that's right? For women, but there is a guy, a doctor for.
Do you have a guy or?
Yeah, they're called a urologist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that deals with those parts of the man.
But you don't want your friend to check you out, right?
Who?
The doctor,
Oh, Dr. Rachel?
Yeah.
No, we're friends, and it's kind of hard to go see your friend to give you a prostate exam. You got me, no. She jokes with me all the time. She goes, well, I have small fingers, so it won't be so bad. I said, no, doctor. I would never be able to look at you again. I would think that's the same for ladies going to OBGYN, that you go to a barbecue with, hang out, go to the bar, and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't like a male gynecologist.
No?
No.
My dad told me to be a OBGYN. He said there was a lot of openings in that field.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. The man that was married 37 times.
Was that good? That was a slow curve that hit you right in the knee, didn't it, Carol?
I never get his jokes.
Sherry had to think about it too. No, my dad didn't say that. It's just one of my old crazy jokes that I've been using for the last 50 years. But it's funny. Kind of ridiculous, but funny. So how we doing?
I had to report a doctor once. I went to he was really old.
Why'd you go to it?
He was the Dr. Kaiser gave me. And he was examining me, and he said to me, Are you gay?
What?
I go, what's that about? Am I gay?
Wow.
Well, are you? And I said, no, but why would you ask me that? And I never could figure that out, but I reported him. Because
yeah, that was an inappropriate question.
Why would you ask somebody that?
Yeah, that's nuts.
You know, and he's looking at me.
And now I would have said, no, are you? You know, so throw it back at him.
That's why I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't like to go to men.
Well, you know, I could understand that.
A psychiatrist, I like a man.
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm giving up all my secrets.
So, Carol, can we put you on camera today? You have Sherry, your friend here.
On camera.
Oh, Sherry, will you work on that for me?
She knows me. I don't like cameras. You'll never see me in pictures.
I'm trying to make a star out of you, and you won't let people see you.
I've exercised, and I'm very sloppy. He made a point the other day to tell me that. And the joke was I had on brand new jogging pants. And
it was just the way it was
jogging
fitting.
Sweatshirt.
Yeah, I called her a hobo.
No, but then my friend said something, too. We went to a client at a last-minute thing, and I hadn't planned on doing that. And she looked at me, she said, look what you're wearing.
And?
I'm like, what is it with you people? Half my clients I go to are sitting either in a muumuu or they're wearing their tight pants.
They're at home, so they can, you know you can relax.
This is me.
Yeah.
I was
we know
listening to some show or the news yesterday. I think it was the news, and they were saying the new thing is dress for success.
Exactly.
That it's going back to that.
Uh-huh.
And they're saying that it's not becoming fashionable to show up in sweats and tennis shoes. So I guess that has been the standard for a while, right?
Yeah.
Is that why everybody's attacking me all of a sudden?
I don't know. Well, see, I'm not into fashion.
See, news
stuff
people,
either.
they don't even. Sometimes they have shorts on because you only see them from here on.
That's right. Flip flops, tennis shoes.
They're not dressed.
It's good. Look, I remember when I was with Capital One, and during my Capital days in the '80s, right?
Uh-huh.
And I lived. My husband and I had moved to San Diego, and I was doing this school tour. And going to elementary schools mostly, but some high schools. Mm-hmm. So this was a high school. And I had been in the car driving from San Diego to L.A.
Right.
And realized, oh, my gosh, I forgot my makeup bag. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go and I'm going to be down to earth. And they're just going to look at me and say, she is really down to earth. So I get there, and I'm driving my little compact car. I get there, and there's a group of girls, they're like standing behind me, but they're facing me actually, and they're like frowning, and then they're like whispering to each other, and they're looking at me, and they're frowning. So one says, why don't you have any makeup on? And I was like,
oh, wow.
I said, so as an artist, that made me realize for the very first time that folks are not into seeing you down to earth. They want to see the glitz and the glamour.
Yeah, they want to see what they see on TV.
Right,
and
especially
videos.
Younger people. You know?
Yeah.
And so I said, okay.
That's their reality.
Mm-hmm. And so
now they Photoshop everything if you see people online.
Yeah.
Oh, well, before we go any further, let me bring in Chris. Chris Bass is one of our cast of characters here on the show. He's in Chicago, but he's remotely connected to us. So good morning, Chris.
Good morning, boom shakalaka. How you doing, everybody? How's everything?
Good.
Good
morning.
Good. Everything's good.
So how did I look,
great.
Chris?
You look great. And people don't know. Of course, Carol does not want to go on screen, but you did walk past to let your guest in.
Yeah.
So we did see you.
It was like a cat that ran across the floor,
Oh, like the one at the baseball game.
Yeah.
It was real quick. And I ain't gonna get the door. So you went in with the door real quick, and that was like very quick. But we did see you.
Yeah, she walked across the camera. I couldn't cut it off fast enough. I'm not used to her moving around once we get everything set up. So she did make a little debut here today.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Wow.
You look pretty good from behind.
No, these pants are too tight.
Carol, you're so easy. And she put her sunglasses on. Now she's looking like a
I actually
FBI agent.
bother my eyes. They do.
Carol, you look like an FBI agent now.
I do.
Yeah.
I look like I'm
all you need is a little earpiece in there, and you'll be official.
There you go.
I don't know how to use that.
We'll work on your Bluetooth after the show. So, Sherry, tell us what you got going on. Well, give a little background for those who have been in a cave for the last 25, 30 years and don't know who Sherry Brown is. Introduce yourself in your own comfortable way. Tell us a little bit about Sherry Brown.
Okay, let's see. Well, I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, and author now.
That's right. I mentioned that.
And my beginning days were on Capitol Records. So I have 2 solo albums on Capitol Records that are still doing really well in different parts of the world. I've been going and doing some touring in the UK.
Excellent.
Because after 30 years, I had no clue that my music was as popular over there.
It's amazing.
I was like, what?
That is so amazing because there's artists, even back in the 60s, 70s, they can go over there and make a lot more money and people will turn out, see the Shy-Lites or, groups like that, Delphonics, but they can't get arrested at home.
It's really something.
Do you think that could be because in the United States they seem to only pick like 6 artists for the last 7 years we've had to listen?
Well, that's part of it, the exposure, and I think maybe a little overexposure in some cases. And the audience here in America are all critics. People in Europe and other countries appreciate the art. They love the artists, the music, and the art form. They appreciate it differently. It's just amazing because I've had conversations with people from England and Germany, and I ask them those questions. So why is it you guys seem to just love artists that just are dead here? Well, they're great. They're just wonderful. I love their music and and all of it. We're different here. If it's not in the charts, it doesn't matter.
It was amazing for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
When I did the concert, they knew all of the lyrics to all my songs.
Sure.
When I'm performing, I'm singing.
Yeah.
There's one song, I just hit the guitar string.
Wow,
and they go, so I was like a little kid. I was like, wow, I'm going to do it again. I did it probably 3 or 4 times just to get that reaction.
Do you think, too, maybe it's because if you see what's coming out of there, they can sing. But our main artists right now, like, I shouldn't name names, Selena Gomez, she couldn't sing live if she had to. Katy Perry
she's a
couldn't.
highly produced
So most
studio
of our
artist.
artists are manufactured. But Adele, if she had started here, I don't think she would have blew up.
No, she probably wouldn't have been able to.
Too much.
Exactly.
They're too critical.
We are.
Too critical.
Yeah, I think American
It's like they want
record
that
companies.
longevity where they can have that artist out every night. They're performing somewhere else till they destroy their throat. Because if you look at Sam Smith, he hasn't been out in a while because when he came out here, they had him going every night. And it messed his throat. Adele had problems with her throat for a minute.
Well, they're hard singers.
And to me, they're great. And we have great singers here. They just don't give them the chance.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
So I actually did a CD that Expansion Records released called Messages from the Heart, an Extension of Love. And one of my highlights was hanging out with the late Leon Ware. And because I opened up the show, and I was on the show with Gene Carn, the Valentine brothers, and Leon Ware was the headliner. And so we actually, he let me hear the song he was working on, and I've just been a fan of his forever and a day.
He was a great producer, writer,
and he let me hear
and singer.
Yeah, and he let me hear the song that he was working on, and I was like, "Oh, that is so good." I said,
he really liked you, Sharon.
Yeah, he was. I called him the Magic Man, and I was telling him, I've written this book called Messages from the Heart, which has a lot to do with this production that we're getting ready to do. And I said, the book is it's called Messages from the Heart, and it's a story of 9 women and the challenges that they overcame through hope, and they're very courageous women. And so I actually have a story that inspired the book, because in 2007 I had a life-threatening illness. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and it was pretty touch and go, and that's what inspired me to do the book. So what happened is each woman tells their story, and I recorded a song and dedicated it to each woman. So I was telling him, I said, Leon, I've got all the songs except I don't have the title track for it. Messages from the Heart. It would be awesome. It would be wonderful if we could work together. He said, yeah, let's do it. And I went to his, he lived in Marina Del Rey, he and his wife. And when I came in, he had the track already done. Oh my gosh. It was just like a dream, all of the things he's ever worked on. It's right here in the living room. It's going to be a part of what I'm doing.
Right.
And so we recorded it, and he's singing background on it. He's got little spots that he's doing some little ad-libbing, And we actually did a music video together for the song. And it's a part of this book, and it's a part of this production that's happening. So what's happened over the the years, for those who don't know, I work a lot with Patrice Rushen. I've co-written
Another
Haven't
outstanding
You,
artist.
And we're really good friends, right? So Haven't You Heard, Look Up, Watch Out, Settle for My Love, Janae's Groove Thing, Kirk Franklin's Looking For You, and most recent, Ty Dolla $ign. He did a song called Straight Up on not this latest album, the album before that. So I'm a co-writer on it as a result of him using part of Settle for My Love and creating this new track with some other things. And he did a clean version. I mean, he did it clean because when he sent the track, and he actually did a interview where he talks about this. When he sent the track, you have to, when you're doing that and you're sampling or using somebody's work in a compilation or a new piece, you have to get permission, you have to get the licensing, right?
Yeah.
So they normally send it to the writers, and it's normally done in its entirety, ready to just drop.
Right.
They're just waiting for the okay.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it was this word, that word, and this word. First, the first word, I was like, maybe I could just kind of close my ears and not listen. But then it got to be a little much, especially with women saying some negative things.
Yeah, and especially knowing Sherry, because Sherry also used to have a children's gospel choir.
Yeah,
I could see her not wanting to hear bad stuff.
But the thing is, though, he actually sampled a little piece of Patrice singing in this song. So when we talked to the administrator, I said, well, I can't approve it, and I don't think I'm sure Patrice is not going to approve it. So, great track, though. The track was just happening.
Yeah.
So what happened is, his people contacted our administrator and said, because Patrice and I have the same music administrator. And they said, well, what will we need to do to make it acceptable? Well, you got to take this word out, you got to take that word out, you got to take this word out and that word. And they were like, well, our administrator said, well, they're going to have to change the whole song, and I don't think they're going to do that. So he did it. And it's the only song on the whole album that's not explicit. But you know what? I have to say that I respect him. Somebody might have said, don't put it on there at all. But I respected him because he respected us. And he talks about that in an interview, that he had to respect Patrice, that Patrice didn't go for the lyrics. And so he actually changed the whole song and was at the end of the record. And Kanye West had come in and was so excited about the song. He says, well, man, what? Because in the interview, Ty Dolla $ign says it almost didn't make the album. But it was towards the end, and so Kanye West said, that's a hot song. That shouldn't be at the end. So he moved it up, so it's actually number 3 on
Interesting.
CD. So
we got to all listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Straight Up. So so that's what's happening. So over the years, since my Capitol days, I took time out to raise my family, my kids. They're all young adults now, very creative and artistic. They kind of, followed in my footsteps in some ways. And I've been writing, and I've been doing children's music. And I've authored a children's book with my husband and a friend that used to be with Disney called Jaka Naka the Word, which is so perfect for what's happening now in the world.
Okay.
Because we have to, I think I was listening to your show yesterday, and you were saying something about we have to reach the kids, the youth.
Oh, absolutely.
Reach them at a young age, which is
That's
why
right.
I'm involved with Dr. Gordon, because I'm sure she'll say more about it. But this particular event that's coming up, I'm jumping all over the place, right? But this particular
All right.
event,
Keep talking.
It's called We Tell Our Stories, and it's we're integrating music, art, dance, and theater to convey the power of how music, art, and telling of one's stories can be healing. It's not a children's show, but there's going to be one segment that's featured a young adolescent piece, because it's all stories from my Messages series. So we have Messages from the Heart book, and I'm creating 4 other books. Messages from the Spirit, which is going to be stories of young adult women. Messages from the Soul, which is going to be stories of men. Messages from the Flowers, which is going to be stories from adolescents, and then Messages from the Light, which is going to be stories like miracle stories. And each book is going to be it's going to have the same format. And what I did with the first book is recorded music and dedicated to each woman in their stories. And there's a piece of art dedicated to each woman in their stories, and including my story. And each woman tells their story themselves.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think this is part of me rebranding myself. So that I can do what I love to do and encompass everything that I do, because there is so much.
Sure.
I just overwhelm people. They're like, you just have so much. It's too much. You're overwhelmed. You're just going overwhelmed. But I've been doing it all my life.
Yeah.
So,
it's just in your DNA.
Right.
Yeah.
So when we decided to do this show, it's going to be September the 16th at the Barnsdall Gallery Theater, 6:30 p.m. That's on Hollywood Boulevard near Vermont in Los Angeles. And so it's going to be a fundraiser for a nonprofit organization called Children and Families, Inc., Incorporated.
Okay.
And Dr. LaFawn Gordon is, this is her baby.
Okay.
And so what they do is about what I do. My thing is, how can I inspire our kids?
Yes.
And we're all kids.
That's
even
right.
No matter how old we get. And
that's
so
true.
So now because of what's happening in the world, I am
It's
even more
more
passionately.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, I got to say this now. Patrice Rushen and I are working on a song that's going to be one of the songs that's going to be featured in this piece.
Okay.
So my new theme is, I've been saying this for 2 years, since before the campaign and the election. I choose love. That's my motto.
Wow.
So I've been saying, I've got this idea. I've already been saying, I choose love, but I want to do this song. I want Patrice and I to do it.
Oh yeah.
And so I said, Patrice, I want this to be a simple ballad with keyboard, and to speak, not be preachy, but to speak to what's going on. And I want the title to be called I Choose Love. We are writing a song, and of course, I'm biased, but we're writing a song I think is a smash-a-rooney hit called I Choose Love.
I Choose Love.
So bad good, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's what I'm doing in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Still hustling to get my music out, and that is what I live for. That's my passion.
So are you self-producing, self-distributing everything now?
Yes, we self-publish the books.
Good.
We've gotten investors, and it's just the people that are involved in all the projects is major. So it's going slower than I would like it to be, but the seeds are planted, and I believe that as we move forward, at one point it's just going to blow up.
Yeah. Well, sometimes a slow path is the best path. My dad had a saying, son, don't rush to fail.
Wow.
Smell the roses along the way.
Hell, that's tough.
Yeah, don't rush to fail.
That's a song, Don't rush to fail. You okay? Come on, Lee, let's write this song.
Well, you'd have to write my life into it, because it would be all in it. Yeah, I mean, but that makes
you
all
know
the
what?
sense in the world
You
to
should,
me now.
You should do a story in the book that we're doing for men.
Okay.
Messages. Check this out. Now, this is birth right here
Right.
in your studio. Okay, Carol. Thanks, Carol.
See how things happen?
I got witnesses. We got witnesses. Okay. So look, the
I'm nailed.
Right.
I gotta commit.
Right. So the book is called Messages from the Soul. It's men's story.
Right.
So you be one of the contributors of a story.
I'd love to
and
do that.
what's the title? Don't
rush
Don't
to
rush
fail.
to fail.
That's right.
We better write it down. And so we'll make that the title of your story and the title of the song. And you can help me write the song.
All right.
And we'll go in the studio and we record a tough.
Great.
Don't rush to fail.
Does he have to sing?
No, I get don't.
Yeah, don't.
He can talk.
Yeah, don't have Lee sing the song. Please. Don't have him sing.
Hey, Chris.
But Chris's voice would be good to come
You know
in.
what,
Chris, I love your voice.
Chris
We got to
might
go.
be another person you want to
You know, Chris,
I better write this
that was
down.
wrong, man. Your timing was
Dude,
perfect.
You threw me on the bus weeks ago. I owed you one.
Okay. Payback, huh?
Yeah, yes, sir. James Brown.
And we can, the song can start off with you being in the studio.
Yeah.
Talking your talk. And Chris, you have a great speaking voice, so you know.
Oh, yeah.
We can get you
Yeah,
in
we
there,
gotta
too.
get Chris in there.
got that very
I got
white-
another song that I've been working on that I just can't seem to focus in on it and finish it up. It's called I'm Stuck on Stupid Over You.
Wow.
It's kind of like a country song. It's a country song.
Who's stupid?
I mean,
over
you could do a blues R&B thing on it, but it's called I'm Stuck on Stupid Over You.
You know what? I would change that if I was you. I would make it I'm stuck on stupid and dangling on dumb.
Well, I was trying to make it a love song, you know? But
can't
yeah, I
love a
guess you
stupid
could be
person.
dumb and in
Who
love.
are you in love with? I'm curious now.
Nobody. That's why I can't seem to finish the song.
He's had 37 lives.
I got to get that lightning bolt one more time.
I try to get him out, and
Oh, here you
I've
go.
taken him places where it's a picnic for a man.
Yeah,
Under
she took me to a Brian McKnight concert outside at the park.
He wouldn't even look.
No, I was looking, but you know, I was just trying to be respectful.
You didn't have to be
I like
respectful
that.
to
Yeah.
me.
I
I was
like
just
that, Lee.
with you as a friend trying to help you
Yeah,
hunt.
I was admiring the beauty of all the ladies out there, and
There
a lot of
was
them
a
were
lot
by
of women.
themselves, you know. So she's trying to
He
hook me up
always
with
leaves
somebody,
that
but
phone
you
on.
know, I no, it's these telemarketing people.
Just
They
turn it down.
I
That's what you
did,
me.
but they figured out how to turn it back up.
I know the telemarketing's got
Yeah,
it.
one
they're
argued with me
criminals.
this morning. She sat and argued with me.
Who?
A lady sat and argued with me about someone. I said, I'm with Kaiser.
Oh, she's
I
trying to
didn't
sell you
ask
some
that. I
insurance.
said, you know what? You make a terrible salesperson. Click.
That's
and then I
right.
blocked her.
Mm-hmm. That's what you have to do. So, Sherry, what? Okay, so you're working on a number of things.
Mm-hmm.
The book is done, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Messages
And the-
from the
All right. Hold the
I
book
read
up.
the book, but I'm getting older, so I have to read it again. It was a very good book.
Yes, I
There
started
was
reading
one
it
story I really
months ago.
liked, and I can't remember.
Yeah.
Which.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the CD, amazing.
Amazing. It is
I think
amazing.
you have your grandkid singing, if I'm correct, in there, or somebody. And
So my
I
my
think your
daughter, my
son's
son's
in
doing
there.
something, and I
He's-
have some nieces
Yeah.
and a nephew that are doing
that's
it.
what makes it
That's
stand
all right.
out. It's
a family
I play
affair.
it all the time in my car.
So I mean, this is it took probably about 6 years to put this together.
Wow. You know, I've talked to a lot of people who've written books, and typically it's not just a thing that they come up with in 2 or 3 months, they knock it out. I mean, some people can do that, but most people are saying, well, it took me 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years to finish a book. And, you know, I've got friends that tell me all the time, Lee, you need to go ahead and do your book, man. And I said, listen, I'm still living. I can't stop to do it. You know, I'm still having fun doing what I do. But it's something I've got to
That could be your
lock
second
in.
novel. You could go on your second one, do your first one.
Yeah, well, I need to just stop doing what I'm doing so I can do it. Because you know, to write, I've never written a book before, so I need to surround myself with people that know what they're doing, rely on their advice, and get some.
I brought this. I brought this as a gift to you.
Oh.
You have this, don't you?
I
Yeah.
have mine.
That's a big book.
And of course, Dr. Gordon has it. So
have
this
mine.
is something else. Okay, now this.
I can read that from here.
Yeah, it's called Jackanaka the Word, and I co-wrote it with my husband, Douglas Johnson Sr., and a friend of ours that used to be an art director at Disney named Pishot Hunt, and he co-wrote it with the two of us, and he did all the illustrations.
Fantastic.
And it came out in 2006. We self-published this, and it's a part of a national campaign called Peace in the City.
Peace in the City.
And what it's about is it focuses, it promotes literacy, self-esteem, anti-bullying, human understanding, and tolerance.
Excellent.
And so
we need that right now.
Yes. And so what happened? Originally, it started out just for newborns to fifth graders, and now it's for all ages. I've done it. And I do a performance and a presentation. I sing, read the book.
Wow.
We have a question and answer about anti-bullying. And what happened when I would do it for the kids, the parents would be like, I want the book. And they would be arguing, there was a 12-year-old, and I was at Spelman College for an alumni, and they let me, say something about the book and make it available. And so there was a mother, one of the alumni, she bought the book, and her 12-year-old daughter were like arguing. She said, "No, this is my book. You can read it." And so what happens? There's adults who get it, and they love it, and they'll have their grandkids come to their house to read it. They won't let it out of their home. They'll put it. It'll be like on their table, like a tabletop piece.
Yeah, coffee table,
or they'll put it on an easel.
Yeah,
and they'll tell me, I don't let them take this home. They have to come and read it. And then there'll be kids that, like the older kids will like it, like high school.
Yeah.
And so it became a phenomenon. I just actually went to Wisconsin La Crosse,
Wisconsin, yep.
And La Crosse University hosted me for a whole week. In fact, it was done by way of Dr. Gordon because one of her relatives is a professor there and had seen the book at your house. And she's a physicist, like one of the top 50 black physicists.
Wow.
Female physicists, right?
Right.
But she couldn't do anything because she's not the right department. So there was another profession that dealt with multicultural studies. And so they hosted me. So I went to 4 different schools, elementary schools, 2 libraries. So the library were all ages and adults who came. And it was amazing because what happens, they see a black girl, they hear the story, and they don't see color anymore.
Yeah.
Because
where
the story,
can they buy this book?
You can go to my website, which is realsherrybrown.com. It's REALSHEREE Brown, BROWN.com, sherrybrown.com. And you can go on that website and you can, find out how to purchase the book. You can find out, you can purchase this if you want. And then there's actually a link, I think, because I released a children's CD called We're All Only Children.
Oh.
And it's songs that were compiled over 20-year periods.
Wow.
A 20-year period. And my kids are on it when they were little.
Yeah.
They're like 28 and 32 now, right?
No way.
Yeah.
You look like you're 26 now.
Oh, you're going to be my friend forever, Lee. Thank you.
Now the large book there, you say we can buy it directly from your website?
Yes.
realsherrybrown.com. All right. Well, I'm going to buy 2 of them.
Okay.
Because I have 2 granddaughters that are 9. Well, maybe I'll buy 3 because Michaela's 16. And I'm gonna get 3 of those because I want to make sure my granddaughters are reading and well versed. I mean, they're multicultural already, but I want to make sure that that's top of mind.
Yes.
Well, buy that one, the other one for your daughter. She would love it.
Yeah, I have that.
Great stories.
Oh, this one,
yeah, I have that one.
And the CD.
Yes,
amazing.
it is amazing.
So I'm a brand.
Yes, you are.
That's what I've created. A brand.
Yes.
And that's how I'm marketing myself. It's a brand because it's not about age. There's so many different parts of it. I mean, there's things that I've been working on. I have a children's TV show that I have a treatment for. I mean, there's just so many different things. I'm actually looking for an agent right now. I'm going to start actively looking for one because I had a meeting at a major TV station. They were like, "Where have you been? Why aren't you?"
That's cool. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why aren't you further out than you are? Do you have an agent? Well, no, because my thing is, if I can't get a manager who's going to do more than I can do for myself, why would I get a manager who and give up a percentage?
Yeah, so I've been just sitting around waiting for something to happen.
Right, and they have to get who I am.
That's
what I'm
these
doing.
managers too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of this. I mean, the main character is Mr. Jesse.
Mr. Jesse.
So she's at school really sad, and
come over this way a little bit. I can move the camera in.
She loves school, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And this one day, she's on the schoolyard. She's crying. She hears this wind, and she hears this in the wind. She hears this word shakanaka, and then her favorite teacher, Mr. Jesse, shows up.
Amazing.
Basically asks what's wrong. So she tells how at school they had hit her, they pulled her hair, they tore up her homework, and he wrote a word on one of the torn pieces of paper called Jakanaka. And so she's asking, well, what does Jakanaka mean? So then he tells a story about how children from Africa were stolen and they were made slaves. And but it was their faith and character that helped them, it made them strong.
Sure.
And there's a storyteller named Mzee who was telling this little person the story. And he talks about how they were able to break their chains and fly away to freedom, not just for themselves, but for the whole world. And he tells, Mr. Jesse tells how Jakanaka is from the people of Zimbabwe. And it loosely means to travel well and have a beautiful life. So then she becomes encouraged. They have floated up, now they're coming back down to the ground. It's almost like a little dream kind of thing. And then she says she's ready to go back to class and to her beautiful life. Travel well, my friend.
Travel well.
And so what happens is people are just it's really amazing. It doesn't matter what color, what culture, religion. So now it's even more appropriate than it's ever been because our kids need to know what's happening. So all of us.
Now bring Doctor on in here. Let's hear from Dr. Gordon.
Yes.
Doctor, how are you tied up into all of this, and tell us about your program.
Well, I can, if it's okay to say, Sherry and I, when we first met, we actually met by way of her sister, who is also in mental health. And, from that point on, it's just been a great union because a lot of what she represents is what our organization represents.
Okay.
And a lot of it relates to empowering those who are not able to have the resources to empower for themselves. My background in particular is specializing in working with children birth to 5 and families who've experienced trauma. For many years, I've worked with families and continue to work with families who are involved in our child welfare system, as well as those who are really trying to figure it out. I do a lot of work in child care and preschool programs because I really believe that you have to start really young.
Absolutely.
Quite frankly, in utero, as far as influencing in a positive way children and families. And we have a lot of families out there who really have the best intention for their children. And I'm just speaking, for example, with those involved in child welfare. And what happens a lot is because of their own emotional and behavioral challenges and things that come with it, unresolved issues in their own childhood that they carried on in adulthood, has created a situation where it's a generational cycle of having some of those negative influences occur with their own children. And so it becomes a child safety issue. And, they spend a lot of time dealing with our child welfare system. And so what I am really focused on as far as our organization is really looking at empowering those who really have kind of lost their way, or maybe they haven't even had the opportunity to experience something different because of the models that they've had. And so when Sherry and I came together, when she talked about Shakanaka, and it was just wonderful, it was like, wait a minute, we have so many kids in our school system who do not feel empowered. And her book was a way of sharing those stories. And in mental health and working with children, we do a lot of sharing stories and doing therapeutic work as it relates to books and things like that. And then when the project came up as far as messages from the heart, Sherry's sister and I were hoping that, and we will continue to that, and that is one of our goals, is to collaborate, because we believe that could be a therapeutic tool that is not one that would seem intimidating. When people think of mental health, they immediately think like, oh, I'm not crazy, that's not for me. Exactly. And the reality is, and this is just my own personal opinion, is that we can all benefit from a tune-up, if you will.
Absolutely.
As far as we all deal with stress.
Yeah.
In fact, there's good stress out there, but oftentimes we are influenced by the stressors that impact our body, impact our soul, and we really need to really figure out how to balance that stress.
I found that most people don't realize that mental health is equally as important as your physical health. We go to we started out talking about a medical doctor, but there are things that we need to get our minds tuned up from time to time as well. And if you don't recognize and deal with that, then you become more dysfunctional, and you don't know why.
Absolutely.
You ask the question, well, why did he do that? I mean, that's crazy. That makes no sense. Yeah, because you weren't paying attention to one of your dysfunctional family members. And I say this all the time. This is near and dear to my heart. There are indicators all the time when people are having mental breakdowns, and sometimes it's little things, but then it's another little thing, and then another little thing, and then they end up on CNN.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Absolutely.
A lot of people, too, because I go to a group every Friday, and it's with therapists, and we walk. There's a group of us, and we walk. And when I first went there and I walked in and I looked around, everybody was like, I thought, wow, they all seem like they're on Thorazine or something, but they weren't. I realized that I'm not the only one with problems. And no. I see a lot of people that have been depressed that go to this. And people, when they find out I do this, they go, when they get mad at me, they go, oh, well, you're a nut. Now, why would you call somebody a nut? Because you're being around a group of people and listening to each other's, what we go through. And we have, there's very young people in there, too. It's all ages. And I think if they did this a lot more with kids and had bullies there and kids that are bullied, because there's a reason why kids bully people.
No question.
If you were to take that child that bullies somebody, you might find out something that they didn't realize they're going to.
Yeah, and it has to be attended to.
I think if they did more group things with children and even walks like what we do, because after we're done walking...
So you walk and talk, or
we
just
walk and we talk to each other, and then we come back, and there's the psychiatrist that's there, he always brings somebody's quotes, and we take turns reading it. Mm. And then we look at it and we realize, wow, this is me. But I realize this helps me. Because a lot of times when I think I'm alone, I realize I'm not. There are people with way bigger problems than I have. And I notice with a lot of people, because I work for myself, a lot of these people that come there, it's job related. It's stuff they go through at their jobs. I notice a lot of them have the same issues I have with my grown children. Mm-hmm. So I realize I'm not alone.
No,
so
you're not.
Listening to you, I can see where getting mental health really helps people.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't want to admit it because they, like I said, they go to me, "Oh, you're a nut."
Yeah. Well,
and I'm not a nut.
No, you're not.
I'm
not at all.
seeking to be around and find out and solve these problems and learn how to ignore things that maybe bring me down.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it helps because my biggest issue is having a client and I don't feel like I pleased her. I take it too hard. I take it to my heart and it's like, quit doing that because there's some people nobody can please.
Well, there's one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this show. Excuse me, because one of them, there's a young adult that's going to do a piece in the production, and this piece is going to be in the next book I'm working on, Messages from the Spirit, which is going to be the stories of the young adult women. Mm-hmm. And she is an amazing up-and-coming artist. She plays the ukulele and can write. And we were working together, and she wrote this song, and I'm like, well, where did that song come from? And so she talks about how the song came about. It has to do with mental health issues. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to give it away because it's going to be in the production. But one of the things that she said was that music saved her. Mm-hmm. It was just very healing. And one of the reasons why she wanted to share a story is because she wanted people to know that if you have mental health issues, you're not a bad person.
No.
Or, it's very common, and so she wants to be able to help people who have similar issues. So I just wanted to interject that because you made me think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny because there is one real young girl there, and she had a baby as a teenager, and she has fears of going into malls because she's very beautiful. So you could see people pick on her and bully, and she's learning how to walk into malls now and hold her head up and look at these people and feel that they're the ones with the problem, not me. Mm. And I've watched her change being there. So it's
build up self-confidence. You know? Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. So what are some of the problems, Dr. Gordon, that you run into in your work?
Well, I have to say, a lot of listening to what you were saying, Carol, a lot of things that happens with individuals is like you were saying something about trying to please a client. Yeah. Sometimes we're not even aware, even so it's unconscious, that we are carrying things for many years that have not been resolved in our own life. Mm-hmm. And we don't realize it until you see something or you talk with someone and then you're still kind of stuck in that particular area. Mm-hmm. And the thing that is really important as far as mental health is really approaching it in a unique and individual fashion. So as Sherry was saying, for the young lady that you were talking about with the ukulele, music was an avenue for her. For some people, group, individual therapy, walking. We've done a variety of things, and that's the thing that I appreciate about our nonprofit is that we really need to meet that person where they are, and then really look at their walk in life as far as the struggles that have gotten them where they have been. Yeah. Chances are, and this is even with kids that I work with in child care programs who are toddlers. Now, a lot of people would assume a 2-year-old, what kind of problems would a 2-year-old have? You would be amazed at the kind of emotional burden and baggage.
Well, they can be hair pullers at that age. I've seen it.
Oh, yes.
People, newborn babies, they can be about 3 months old because I work with hair pullers. And there are little kids from the time they're very young that pull their hair. And now there's a reason for that.
Right.
Because I'm sure you know about hair pullers.
Well, right. Well, we have, really young children. If you think about it, they're not verbal yet, or they do not have the verbal skills that we do, and they can't tell you about some of their experiences. And so they're often victims of situations and trauma in their life that they can't resolve on their own. And that's why, we do need to look at more of a village type of approach, helping this parent. Oftentimes what happens in child welfare, and I'm not going to say that about all of child welfare, so those involved or even families who are not involved, where we as the parent or the caregiver of that child, we just assume, oh, they'll be fine. You know, the 2-year-old, like there could be a domestic violence situation.
Be wrong?
They're okay. It didn't impact them in any way. And we don't see the physical impact, the emotional impact, psychological impact. What we may often see is behavior. And oftentimes, that's usually what happens when I consult with these child care programs. We have the child, as you were saying, Carol, they're acting it out. They may be being very physically aggressive. I'll never forget this. This is 20 years ago, and I was doing an assessment on a 2-year-old who was involved in the child welfare system. There was a concern about the child having communication issues, verbally the child was delayed and poor articulation. And so as soon as I started the assessment, the first thing the child said to me in an angry voice is, "Uck you." And if you can understand what the child was referring to in here, it's a 2-year-old. And, one of the things I could, half-heartedly say was, okay, well, we see there is some sort of expressive language challenge, but there is a much deeper issue, with that particular child. And we need to go to the source of that, bring in that parent, those individuals working with that child, and really see, okay, well, what is the underlying issues? What was it that the parent did not have the opportunity to get? How can we rework that? How can we assist them in coping and addressing those issues? So once we're able to build more of a healthier foundation, more resources for families, the very young children have a better opportunity. And they are the future.
Absolutely.
And so that's why we need to focus early on so that we can support them so that their futures could look even brighter than our futures.
Are the parents in denial? Do you see that as part of the issue?
Yes. Yes.
How do you overcome that?
Well, working with the parents. I mean, that's a really big part. Like we are often quick to, okay, we have to rescue the child out of this situation, which is important in terms of child safety.
Sure.
But we cannot give up on that parent.
Yeah.
We have to see what is it that is happening with that parent.
So it's a double-edged sword here. You got to deal with the child and the issues that it has, and then you got to more or less comfort and direct and coach the parent in how to accept and embrace this issue without turning them off.
Absolutely.
Or making them feel like they failed.
Caregiver engagement is
That's a tough job.
incredibly important.
And how would you tell someone to deal with social anxiety? I have a granddaughter, which Sherry knows her. She's extremely quiet, but she's diagnosed with social anxiety. If you get her on a stage and she starts to sing, it's her music, just like what you were saying. She could just stand up there and it changes her, but she hates meeting people after, and she doesn't know how to react to fans because she has very bad social anxiety. Sherry knows her. You know how quiet she was, but she'll open up when she sings. It's like she sings with emotion. If she sings a song, she's written the song, she's telling you a story. But walking off a stage or sitting around groups of people, she's very uncomfortable. And she can't seem to get past this. I mean, she sees somebody, but it's real tough for her, the social. Do you deal with that with
Well, see,
kids?
in that situation, and I'm not sure what's happening as far as her, her therapeutic intervention, but, that's one of the things that's important to do is, find out what it is. What is that strength that person has? And that's the thing that's really important for us is strength-based approach. You can't do a cookie cutter approach where everybody gets the same thing.
Right.
We have to look at, okay, well, what are the strengths? There has to be something that we can build on. And so if you know that she flourishes on stage, then, perhaps her therapist can look at that part and see how we can use some of that to build it into the next setting, the next situation where she's experiencing anxiety, put her there, for example, visual imagery, putting her there as far as let's go together and see how you can do some deep breathing. That's just a couple of examples.
See, I see with her, and I've seen it with other kids, they get bullied. And if they bully them very young, it stays in them. If they don't go past it. She was bullied.
Terrorized.
Horrible. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's like it stays in her. She doesn't seem to get past it. And it would be like people go, "Oh, do you talk to Sky?" I go, "No, I don't. She doesn't call me every day." I go, "She might text you, happy birthday." But she doesn't mean any harm. It's caused her to have really bad social anxiety.
It's really interesting because when I was younger, I was bullied. Very much so.
Well, look at you.
Yeah, well.
They always mess with people when you're as pretty as you.
Well, thank you. But I never thought...
Sometimes beauty is a handicap.
Well, what happened, my late dad, bless his soul, I had a wonderful dad, but he was very strict. And so there were two things that happened, three things. I was always a good student, so the kids called me the teacher's pet. Okay, so from like first grade to 8th grade, I'm a straight A student, and they call me teacher's pet. Then I'm the oldest of 8, my mom and dad, so there's 10 of us. Mm. So we were always dressed nicely. My mom sold most of our clothes. I mean, I could go to, remember when they had the pattern shops and you can pick out your pattern? Anymore, huh? I haven't seen one, but I could pick out what I wanted to wear and pick out the fabric. And I was always dressed to a T. But, but we didn't have like the expensive brand tennis shoes, which were very few at that time, right?
Sure.
And then that was a thing. And then because my dad didn't allow me to do some of the things that my peers did, then that was all of that compressed. And they used to just make fun of me, and I would go home and cry. And so that's what made me go more into my music. Mm. It was a haven for me. Mm-hmm. It was like...
It's an escape.
Oh, it was such an escape. And then when I was doing it and it made people feel good to hear my music, then that inspired me even more. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even a thing of me doing it because I was trying to show off. It was like, if you were really loving my music, I just wanted to share that music to make you feel good.
Yeah.
Because it made me feel good. And that's followed me all of my life. Until I got to a point where I said, that's their problem. The great thing is my parents, especially my mom was always, supporting me and telling me, that's their problem.
Yeah, it is.
It's, and you're wonderful and you're beautiful. And so that kind of support really helped me. But it didn't take away the pain that I felt when I was away from that environment.
Yeah.
And dealing with some of the kids. Kids can be brutal. Adults can
terrible.
Be brutal.
Yeah.
Well, I think some adults can be too. I mean, this is steering away a little from the subject, but I don't know if you've watched news lately. There was this child, he's autistic. Now, anybody that's around an autistic child know that they have a very bad temper. They can lose it. They might kick you, bite you, scratch you. But if you're working with that child, you have to understand that. I seen this teacher. She was dragging this kid down the hall. Did you see this? That's autistic. Well, the question is, people feel because he scratched her and he hit her in the eye that it's okay. No, to me it wasn't okay. And I'm just curious, how would anybody else feel? Would you feel it's okay? She was dragging him like he was an animal. I don't like to see people drag a dog or a cat.
No, absolutely not. Because for one, where's that mutual respect? And what kind of modeling is it that you are doing with that child? Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not big on corporal punishment. No. And so I guess I'm going against the grain of even my own culture, being African American, that becomes a quick fix as far as how to relate and discipline a child. You are to be seen and not heard. And I see that in a very different way. For one, think about this. If we are wanting a child, we're wanting them to change their behavior because we don't like it that they hit other people, they're physically aggressive, they're outspoken in any way, but yet in talking to them and disciplining them in that manner of yelling at them. I'm going to give you something to hit. I'm going to grab you. I'm basically giving that type of disrespect. We are not modeling what it is we want, that we're intending for the child. So how is that effective? And really, what was lacking in that situation is this teacher's compassion and understanding about even autism spectrum disorder. First of all, it is a spectrum, and it's not everyone has the same type of symptoms or challenges. And so we have to understand, well, what's going on with that child? What are the triggers for that particular individual? How can I better address it? And so it's very important. The onus is on the person who is taking care of or trying to address the issue to better understand that particular child, and not to put our feelings into it and then react in a way that's not going to be helpful for that person or the child.
Yeah. Now, they have special schools for kids that are artistic. How well are the teachers trained to deal with?
Have been trained. Why would you track this kid like he was an animal?
Right.
That's what prompted me to ask that question.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, not all children have to go to a quote special type of school. I mean, it really, again, it depends on level of functioning of that individual. You could have a higher functioning individual with special needs who could easily be mainstreamed, and in fact, that would be the most appropriate.
Yeah.
But what you were saying, well, what happens with the teachers? That's why I really believe early intervention, not waiting until the child gets to elementary school or middle school or high school. We have to start early. We have to recognize when those special needs occur and then immediately wrap it around those resources. If it means this teacher needs more training in terms of typical child development and children with special needs, how to better recognize it, then we need to be proactive about getting, those services, for that individual, so that the idea is not to, again, label the child, demonize the child, but let's see how we can work with this child in this environment.
Now, I have an associate who is a brilliant grown person. He's a web developer, designs websites, and he's brilliant, very smart, and he's artistic. You wouldn't know it unless he told you. So he is a functioning person, runs his own business, brilliant. When I don't understand things, I'll call him and say, hey, man, blah, 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 blah. Boo. Oh, that's easy. Do this, do that, click over here and do that. Brilliant guy. But he'll tell you, I'm artistic. And there are signs that, the only thing that would ring a bell with me is he's a little long-winded, very detailed and explaining every little thing. And you go, yeah, I got it. But that's it. Otherwise, he's a perfectly fine, functioning human being, married, no kids, but just a regular guy. So there's different levels, I assume.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he's on medication or anything like that, but he's fine.
There's a young girl, which now she'd be a little older. She came, I went to the show The Doctors, and she's a twin. And one, as they grew, he said she was very violent, and the other, but she had problems with motor skills. And she went to a regular high school. She was talking through an iPad. She was answering questions. She was telling people about being autistic, what they feel. She said that sounds are more intensified. She said their eyesight, it's sometimes like a kaleidoscope. She was telling people why sometimes they start plugging their ears in that, because it just gets really loud for them. It was very interesting because everything, she talked right to this iPad. And I've read articles now where they're finding iPads really help these children.
Well, I'm working with someone that has some level of autism, and he is a teenager, brilliant. And so I have this mentorship program where it's a 6-month program, and so especially aspiring young artists, we go through the whole process of how you copyright, how do you become a member of ASCAP or BMI or CSAC, and what do you expect? How do you protect your music? And then we, go through a whole songwriting process where I will work through, we'll create a song, and then I'll go into the studio and produce it. So that by the end of that 6 month, they have a song that they have written or co-written, and it's produced, and it sounds like a record. And it's part of me giving back because, the program, the fee is nominal compared to what it is that I do. And this one particular individual just turned 17, and where my other clients, it may have been 1 to 2 songs that they worked on. This guy has his laptop, and he's done like 7 to 8 tracks that I think are like, whoa, they're just hits. And so this is something that his parents saw that he was interested in, which was great as parents, I think, because they're looking for things that they feel that to help connect him to some social, so he'll have some social connection. But that's real interesting. That made me think about that.
Yeah, yeah. And there are different levels of autism and other mental issues. What are some of the, I don't want to say most popular, but the ones that you see more often in terms of issues as it relates to mental health issues that you run into?
And, as I mentioned before, I work with individuals who've experienced trauma.
Okay.
So, see a lot of trauma-related challenges, and often you'll see, as a result, depression, low self-esteem, incredibly low self-esteem, anxiety, just this whole feeling of worthlessness.
Yeah.
And, experiencing a traumatic situation and experience, and so then there's that idea of, well, what if it happens again? So then you start to feel hypervigilant and nervous about certain situations, so then you start to avoid going into certain situations or interacting with individuals who may represent that, for example, a perpetrator. And a lot of it is really trying to get at what is that particular symptom or those challenges that person's experiencing, and really help them be able to address it and cope with it. And I keep going back to the importance of having the right people in your life who are healthy, who can have compassion and understanding, and really help them really kind of to not shelter the individual, but support them in the way that they really need to be supported.
Sure. Now I run into people, generally younger people, who have signs of low self-esteem. And without you going through a whole therapy session kind of thing, how do you deal with that? I mean, is that a situation where you just have to keep positive reinforcement and all the feel-good messages, but how do you break through? What is there a special breakthrough point?
Again, everyone is individual, but oftentimes you have to start with, where did it come from?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, no, you feel better, your life is wonderful, and then you put a Band-Aid on it, but you still haven't addressed, well, where did it come from?
The root of the problem.
Exactly. So if you can address the root of the problem and really help that person understand and or cope and address it, then when a similar situation happens in life, because chances are there may be something else that may happen that relate to it, or a reminder, a trigger, then the person would then have those the ability, the therapeutic tools, if you will, to be able to address it in a different way the next time it should happen. And then so that sometimes that's missing a lot. It's like, oh, you don't worry about that. I can't believe you experiencing that. When instead we really need to embrace that. Sit with that person's feelings about it. Oftentimes we're uncomfortable when another person is in emotional pain because we don't know what to say, we don't know what to do. And then so we may either try to avoid that person, or we may say something that is not intentionally ignorant, but it may come off in a way that even creates more harm. And the reality is, a lot of people, they just want you to hear them. They just want you to listen.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Doctor. We're talking to Dr. Gordon here, and she's a PhD. If you had the opportunity to sit down with President Trump, how would you?
Oh, no, you want me to go political.
Well, no, I just want you to examine him mentally. Does he appear to be stable, or is this a TV show we're watching?
So you're going to jeopardize me with the Board of Psychology. Since he's not my client,
right.
I have to say that I can't really diagnose him.
Right.
But people like him, if I can just be fair in saying that. There is that question of insecurity, where you do need individuals around you who give you, what's the word I'm looking for? Affirmations and, things to boost up your, help me out here.
Ego,
thank you. And you see, I want this to be a whole family affair, so I'm not putting on the spot
we'll all be
here.
indicted, right?
Right, exactly. And oftentimes, if you think about that, those who are the most insecure, I've always said this, and this could be someone like him.
Right,
those
in general. Okay.
If you just think about in just your own life experience, those who tend to be the most insecure are the ones who are talking about all the wonderful things that they do in life, and they know everything.
Yeah.
But, in just my own opinion, personal opinion, those who have the credibility and the know-how and the do, you don't hear them talking.
No.
You hear other people talking about the things that they do. And so, to me, that would be the difference.
Okay. So he is a little wacky.
Those were your words. Your words.
Egotistical maniac?
Narcissist? I think his reality show got to his head. I think he thinks he's on a show.
Well, I think, no question about that.
I wonder if
but
Chris
he was a
has
little
any questions.
out there. I'm sorry?
Is Chris still on?
Chris, you're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm
Do you
I'm
have
listening,
any
of course.
questions?
Yeah, I do. Let's go to the doctor real quick. First of all, both of you are doing great work. Your timing is impeccable because the word I keep hearing between the both of you is healing. And we need that now. We just talked about our so-called president and what's going on in our universe right now. And I believe what you're doing is helping to heal. And we need that now more than ever. So I commend the both of you for your timing is once again impeccable. When Dr. Gordon, when you're diagnosing, before you're going back to children, how is the process to let them know that that diagnosis is a reality? Now, I know some adults may have issues, but because of their mental capacity, maybe they're able to embrace it or kind of fight against it. With children, is it different?
Now, it's interesting that you asked that, because that is often the fear when I'm asked to, at the child care programs I'm involved in is, oh, wait a minute, are you going to diagnose my child, and is that going to carry with my child? Is that going to hinder or hurt my child in any way? Believe it or not, the most immediate, it's not to focus on a diagnosis. We often focus and look at a diagnosis for other reasons, for billing reasons, especially for driving specific services that are needed, for an individual. And that's when it becomes important in certain situations. But you don't want to just only operate solely on a diagnosis, because then you start to focus on, instead of calling the child John, we're saying autistic John. You know what I mean? And we're not really looking like, well, wait a minute, let's look at the uniqueness of this individual. Let's look at, what is it that when you were talking about your friend? Yes, the parts that are really important to embrace and value about John. Not look at the diagnosis of John, but what is it that he offers us? What can we learn from him? And that would be the focus, not necessarily operating on his label. And that's a fear for a lot of people. You're labeling me, so that means that label will carry me. A lot of times we ourselves may use the label and it turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy that I am this, so therefore I'm not able to do A, B, and C. And we really need to not focus so much on the label, but okay, how will I address this, and how will I get the support in doing that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, as you know, when we're talking to children or people who go through that, it's not the easiest thing because you have to admit something that you probably don't want to admit to. I guess it goes for all of us.
That's true.
So when you're in the process of being with a professional who has the acumen to help make you well, that takes time, and once again it's about acceptance. So I really commend for what you do because I don't know if I'm already nut whacked to begin with, so I know you'll be on my. It's like, geez, we don't have enough data for this dude.
You need teamwork.
Yeah, I mean, it was like they put it like this: you put a team on me, they'll probably quit. But I also want to reach out, of course, to Sherry Brown. You mentioned earlier in the conversation, Sherry, about your Capitol years to where you are now. Give us a description of how you were in the Capitol years, the life-changing time in the hospital for 2 weeks, if you don't mind sharing that, to where you are now. It seems like it's an evolution of a sort.
Wow. Well, let me see. I worked on a number of demos to get my record deal at Capitol. I'd actually been working on different demos for a period of 7 years. And you know what? I'm a very religious person. Just that's by, that's my choice. And, I don't judge anyone else.
Don't apologize.
No. And I'm just saying I'm very accepting of other folks and denominations, et cetera. But I always had
That's
this.
why you're the realsherrybrown.com.
That's right. And so,
nice little branding there.
Yeah, thank you. And so, my whole thing was, people were like, in this business, it's who you know. That's how you're going to make it. You're not going to be able to make it. I mean, people were surrounding me in high school telling me that. Not my family. They were always very supportive, but people outside, even in the industry, you're not going to make it. There's too many people out there. And I said, yes, I am. Because I have a lot of, I know that God's going to send all the people I need to know. And that was my, my feeling. The interesting, and the people that worked on my demos were like people like Patrice Rushen, the late Ricky Lawson on the drums, the James Brown horn section, some of the folks who were with Earth, Wind, and Fire. In fact, my mentor was one of the original trombone players, Alexander Thomas, for Earth, Wind, and Fire. He was a mentor and my music director once I got with Capitol. So my very last demo that I worked on it's really interesting. We sent it to Capitol Records. And I got one of those reject letters. A whole year later, the same demo was an attorney heard it and took it back to Capitol to another person, and I got signed. And I got signed during a time when no one's, it's the holidays. Nobody's going to sign you. It was right before Thanksgiving. It was like,
oh, okay.
They signed me. Right before Thanksgiving, I was in the studio right after Thanksgiving, and the album was dropped like January of that next year.
Who was in charge of promotions at that time? Do you remember?
Oh, gosh.
What year was this?
1980. So 1980 to 1983.
Okay. I was at WBMX in Chicago.
Yeah, because I remember you, Lee.
Yeah.
Chicago's my favorite place.
Mine too.
Really?
Only during the spring and the summer.
Well, I never
and early fall.
Right, I never went during the bad weather.
Wintertime, I'm out.
Preach.
Right, but you know what? That's where I remember you from. And Chicago, I have very, very warm feelings about the DJs that were the radio personalities that were there, you included, because they supported me so much. So my album came out right after Mini passed.
Yeah.
And Dick Rudolph produced my first album.
Okay.
So it was really interesting. I'm trying to think of who was in charge. I can tell you a lot of different, because it was Michael, oh shucks, and I really liked him in Chicago. He had a big old natural.
Big old afro, yeah.
Michael, can't remember his last name, but I remember, I remember going on the promotional tours to the radio stations, and people were like, I hate to tell you this, but Capitol kind of got caught with their pants down because, people were like, who is this? Who is this? She reminds me of Minnie Riperton, and there were no records in the stores.
Yeah.
And they were like, that if that happens, people are going to go for their second choice, and they probably won't come back.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I was very naive, and I saw a lot of things, and made it a point not to be a part of a lot of those things because that's not who I was about.
Yeah.
People like, well, I remember, the black colleges, the historical black colleges really supported me.
Yeah,
in fact,
they embraced it.
And in fact, I got an award for the best new artist. And I remember being in Atlanta and with the manager at the time was named John Rotz. I don't know if you remember John Rotz.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, and they said they wanted me to be a spokesperson for this new beer. And they wanted to put the billboard right in the middle of these colleges, and the black colleges in Atlanta. And they were offering a lot of money for back then. It was a lot of money, and I said no, because I didn't want to endorse something that could be harmful for my people. It's like, well, why am I going to endorse, beer for the college students here? And people were like, that's crazy. You should have taken the money, but I couldn't do it. So there were things,
moral values, and things that are
yeah.
important, and I applaud you for doing that.
Yeah.
Some things you just don't need to embrace.
Right.
If it's against your beliefs.
Right. In fact, in this book, it's semi-autobiographical actually, because I talk a lot about that journey of the music and what happened when I lost my deal at Capitol. I was in Italy doing a USO tour with the Italian army, lined up to leave their name so I could send them back an album. And I'm like, why isn't Capitol behind me? And I was at the table with my manager, and I remember him telling me, they dropped you from the label. No warning.
Yeah.
They had new people who had come in. I had no relationship, And so I think that if it was the same people, they probably would have given me a third album. But it was devastating for me.
Yeah, you came along at a time when you were doing the type of music that you were doing. Radio wasn't there. The promotional people, marketing people didn't get it because you were a real artist. And at that time, music was, especially in urban radio, was going through a little transition, and you got caught up in that. I remember your first album when Mike brought me the album, the
Horton,
first single,
Michael
Horton. Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. I said, "Hey, Mike, this is a great song, and we're gonna give it a shot, but I'm not sure because." At that time, I was the program director of the radio station. I remember it was like yesterday. Some things I can't remember from 2 weeks ago, but I remember this. I said, the house music is booming here in Chicago. I said, we're going to need to get a different mix on this to make it, blend into everything else that we're doing. I said, but this is going to be one of my personal favorites. So you got caught in that time. And it's those cycles, those crazy cycles that come and go in the music industry, especially here in America. Take that same record, go over into Europe.
Well, the thing is, sometimes when I play my old stuff and I'm playing it for the younger folks, they're like, that is bad. What did you do? That is. And so it's like, I remember folks saying I was a little ahead of my time.
Yeah.
And so, when India.Arie came and through and Jill Scott came up, people were like, you remind me of India.Arie. You remind me of Jill Scott.
No. They were biting on you.
I was out
first.
long before they came, although I love their music.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In fact, I'm going to see Jill Scott tonight at the Bowl.
I wanted to see her.
Yeah, at the Hollywood Bowl. So then that was devastating. It took me some time to kind of regroup from that. But in the meantime, I started having, I had my daughter first, and then my son. So I took time out to be there as a mom.
Sure.
But I was still doing behind the scenes stuff. I was still writing. I was still creating. And then when I got sick, they didn't. It was like I had an infection in my bloodstream. It's like, where did this come from? Nobody knew where it came from.
Right.
I didn't know how serious it was until after I got out of the hospital, and people were like, you almost died, and
wow.
So when that kind of thing happens, you just, that mortality just flashes in front of you. And I just felt like there's so much more that I want to do and, to accomplish. And I just threw myself more into the stuff that I was doing. And even with the children's stuff, and even this event, I want everything that I do to somehow be a part of touching the kids from 0 to 5 and older.
Good.
On some level.
Those are very informative years.
Right, and because, and that's why I really like what's going on with Dr. Gordon and her organization, because she talks about that. That's when you reach the kids, when they're that young. This is the thing that's going to change the culture. We have to start with our kids.
No question.
So every time I hear what's happening in our political arena, and I, instead of becoming or staying saddened, because it is saddening for me, I just say, what can I do musically that's going to make the difference? I'm going to figure out a way to touch our kids, because that's going to change the culture. So when you have folks talking this crazy stuff, they know, well, that's not right.
That's right.
And so my thing is, I said, I just got to try to bless our president. Because, like on my Facebook, I try not to be political. I'm going to start a blog. I have a blog. I don't really use it so that I can say I'm going to be political. Okay. And the thing is right and wrong is wrong.
Period.
No matter who you are, no matter what your party is. And so that...
Speak the truth, Sherry.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to keep on doing it even more than ever. And encourage my peers and my other artist friends to do the same. And hopefully they're those who I don't, who are on a different level than I am even, as far as that.
By the way, you tell Patrice I said hello.
I will.
And I would love to have her on the show.
Yeah, I'll tell her.
Now, what's that red thing you got sitting in your lap?
I got my guitar.
That's a guitar?
No, I brought my guitar. I said, you know what? I told Carol and I told Lee,
I'm curious, though. I've never seen acoustic. What is this?
These are pickups. So what happens, I can plug this.
That's kind of new, huh?
Well, it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And so what happens, I can plug this into
an
amp,
okay.
and it amplifies. And these are like my volume and my I can make it treble and put more bass in it and adjust it like that. Or just play it like this. So what I brought my guitar right, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So. I told you about this children's record. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. Now, when I do my Jakanaka presentation, this song comes out. Now, this song is for every child and for the child in all of us, and it is especially appropriate for what's going on now, you see. So, it's a song that I wrote called Little Boy Blue. Now, how many of you remember the story about Little Boy Blue? And he fell asleep under the haystack. Well, I've got a song about Little Boy Blue who played the horn. And it's about believing in himself. And it goes like this. Little boy blue, what's going on? Little boy blue, won't you play a horn? Little boy blue, little boy blue. That's the background part, right? Little boy blue, no matter what goes wrong. Little boy blue, you keep playing your horn. Little boy blue. Now the story goes, living life day by day, wishing that he had it made. Only time that you wins on the television, he is hoping for a better way. Chasing a tear with a smile, sorrow and laugh for a while. He just has to begin, the answer lies within. Besides, giving up's just not a style. Little boy blue, what's going on? Little boy blue, won't you play a horn? Little boy blue, little boy blue. Hey, hey, hey. Little boy blue, no matter what goes wrong. Little boy blue, keep playing your horn. Little boy blue, little boy blue. Now it continues and it goes. Now out there there's a desert land, but little boy blue has a plan. In his heart he is known, he'd come into his own long as he keeps on playing his horn. Little boy blue, what's going on? Little boy blue, keep playing your horn. Little boy blue, hey, hey, hey. La 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 la. La 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 la. Little boy. Little boy blue.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, you just brought back some fond memories. Yeah.
Thank you. I
think Minnie just walked in the room.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, thank you, man.
Right.
Thank
wow, that was beautiful.
Man, I'm bald now, but I'm remember I had my afro back in the day. I'm saying that, you know.
That's all right, Chris.
That's all right there.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I want to hear another song.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I love this guitar. I taught myself how to play when I was. You want to hear something real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
This is like a therapy session for us.
I'm gonna play the first song I ever wrote.
Uh-oh.
I was in the
sweet.
6th grade. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I had only 2 strings on my guitar.
2
string, guitar has 6.
Yeah.
And they all broke. And, I'm in the 6th grade. I can't afford to buy new strings. So it's during the summer.
Right.
I'm out with my really good friends, and they were my neighbors. So we're all in the same age. So we were going to be like the next Supremes. Now, for those of you who are too young to know, the Supremes were the girl group that was really happening, right?
Diana Ross, Mary Wilson, and Cindy. No, what? Cindy
Flo Ballard.
Flo Ballard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Cindy was the second generation.
Yes, and so one of them was gonna one of the girls played drums, but she didn't have drum set. She had a drum pad. So here we are in the backyard. My guitar with 2 strings, a drum pad. One of us, it was 4 of us, and one of them we didn't have a tambourine, so she was playing the top of a cookie. Those round cookie cans.
Yeah.
She's taking the top off. Right. And so she's hitting it as a tambourine. And then the 4th one has these finger cymbals.
Wow.
She's going ting, 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 right?
ting.
So I'm going to play it. I'll play it just like I remember it sound.
Okay.
With my 2 strings and everything, okay? I really love you, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh. I really love you, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh. I really love you, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh. I can't explain this feeling that I had when you walk by me. Everything just changes. And then it went, everything just changes inside of me. Tell me what. They go, what? What can I do to make you feel the same way too? Now she go, I really love you, baby. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And I'm doing a new remix. Love you, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh. I really love you, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah. Oh, I'm just making it. I really love you, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Wow. So I to do that.
I'm feeling that.
And I was in the 6th grade. So I must have been 11. That was my first song.
So that was about 10 years ago, huh?
All right.
Yeah, when you mentioned drum pad, they didn't have drum pads back in 1955. So, see, You got me all twisted. I don't know how old you are or when you started because you got me all confused.
Right.
That's easy to do, though.
Right. So I just
Oh,
love
that's
you know, I
great
just
stuff.
love- thank you. I love my guitar and
I love hearing her sing.
thanks. And so I'm hoping that folks will come
Nice,
out for the
nice.
show. The tickets are $60 each, and they're
Yeah,
tax
give us a date,
deductible.
time, and place again.
The date is September the 16th, Saturday, and it's 6:30 p.m. at the Barnsdall Gallery Theater, which is located at 4800 Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. And you can go online. You can go to www.wetellOurStories.eventbrite.com. That's
Excellent.
wetellOurStories.eventbrite.com, and then you get more information
Sure.
about the production and about Children and Families Incorporated, and then you can find out. You can purchase your tickets on there.
Okay, tell us your personal website so we can
My
get your
personal
books
web-
and music and all that good stuff.
Real Sherry Brown.
The real Sherry.
That's right.
Not
and
the
it's
fake
not
one.
but it's real.
Real.
Real Sherry
Real
Brown.
Sherry Brown. Now spell your name because some people will spell it the old traditional way.
Right. So it's SHER, one R, EE.
There you
Brown.
go.
And that's real, REAL, Sherry Brown.
Cool. .com.
.com.
And Doctor, how can we get in touch with you?
Our
Pull that
website-
microphone over there. Don't be scared.
Thank you.
There you go.
Our website is www.childrenandfamilies.com.
Excellent. That's
Yes.
simple. I can remember that one.
Let me hear you repeat it.
Childrenandfamilies.com.
Oh, good.
I got it.
With the
See, even the,
Plural.
Plural.
Yes. Yes.
and even an old senior like me can remember that. That's good stuff. I mean, what an entertaining, and it's kind of a different show for us. And thanks for Carol because she kept reminding me that we need to get you on. I said, well, just call her and tell her come on in. Sherry can come anytime she wants.
Nice.
Sherry has a very interesting family.
Yeah.
Let's see her son. Let's talk about your husband first.
Well, my
Wait,
husband,
hold on. I'm sorry. Let me interrupt. Before you do that, Sherry Brown, can I get an autograph book? The first one you mentioned. Can you use that title again for your first book, please?
which Messages from the Heart?
Yeah, can I get an autograph book of that, please?
Yes. You can.
Okay, do me a favor. Give it to Lee, and then Lee, you'll take care of the shipping and handling and get it to me in Chicago.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I'll do that. For you,
Thank
Chris?
you, sir.
Anything else you need, sir?
Let's see. Probably a In-N-Out burger.
Of course. A double, right?
Where are you, Chris? Can
That's
I
right.
ask?
I'm in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
See?
Chicago.
Yep. Yeah, he's in the
my
Bronzeville section
Yeah,
of
my
Chicago.
first album was #1 in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool beans.
Yeah.
It was #1. You guys, Chicago treated me well.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I remember when Michael Horton brought the product in, and Mike's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's still in the business.
He is?
Yeah. I want to say he may be still at Capitol.
Really? Wow.
I may
doubt
be
it.
wrong.
Capital changes people every 6 months.
Yeah.
Because I remember I saw he was in New York one time. And
Yeah,
I went,
yeah.
He was working out there.
That last time I spoke with him, he was based in New York, but I thought he was still working for Capitol. Maybe
they've
another
closed
couple.
New York down, Capital.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Okay,
they're
well
all
then
out
maybe he's
here,
not
and
there.
every time I turn around, because I'm friends with a lot of people, all of a sudden they're not with Capital. Like Dan McCarroll. He was with Capital, and all of a sudden, I think he was with someone else, and then he just left there. And I go, wow, when did he leave there?
Well, I'm going to put an APB out for
You know,
for
Chris does a show.
Michael Horton, rather.
Chris,
Yes, I do.
he does a show. You might want to work out something with him, come in on his show.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I do a show with a multiple cast, this multicast program called Cool Out Radio.
Wow.
So once again, here comes the plug that is shameless. That's
Go ahead. I don't care.
every Sunday evening at 10 p.m. Central on WVON, Talk Chicago 1690, also on WVON.com and iHeartRadio. So what you can do, I'll get you information, Sherry Brown. I'll get to my producer, and I'll get you on the show if you like.
That'd be awesome. I'll give
Have
my
both of
information to
them.
Lee.
Yeah.
Both
I'll
of
shoot it
them,
over
yes,
to you.
yes. And Dr. Gordon.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to keep Dr. Gordon here. Sherry, you can go home to your family, but
right.
Dr. Gordon, we have a bunch of people here that need your help, including me, okay? So you're going to be our staff Psychic. Psych doctor, okay? Now, see, Chris, we might have to pay you to help him. So be gentle on the fees.
Well, I'll actually be in Chicago next week if he needs a session.
Oh, see how things work out?
Yeah, sookie now.
Right? That's funny. But yeah, we're going to put out an APB for Michael Horton. Where is Mike? I'm all my Facebook friends. Let's find Michael Horton because we need to get I want to get Mike on the show as well. I haven't talked to Michael in a long time. But yeah.
So you
Funny
might
times.
want members of her family on the show.
Yeah.
Because
So what's your husband doing?
Listen to what she's
Well, my
talking-
husband works with a nonprofit agency that goes into schools, does after-school programs. They're drug and gang prevention, and they deal with self-esteem issues with the kids. So he does that, but he's a deacon in the Catholic Church, so he does a lot of workshops and public speaking. He's a great public speaker. We're going to be married 37 years in November.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And he's just always been a supporter of me and my music, and has let me do what I do, which is a blessing. And then with him being involved with this book, the children's book, he co-wrote it, but he also is going to be doing a book that's going to be telling, I was mentioning about the men's story called Messages from the Soul. So we started working on that. My daughter is the oldest of my two children. She is a mother and a wife, but she got a degree in dance at the University of Arts in Philly. And she got a degree in dance and choreography. So she writes and she sings and she dances. She's going to be featured in the production also. She's going to be one of the guest artists, but she's pretty phenomenal. And the music that she does is very phenomenal. And I'm not saying it because she's my daughter. She's got a whole concept where she includes the music and the dance, and she's beautiful. And her daughter is my grandbaby. She's 4, so she's actually singing on a couple of the new stuff. There's a song called "It's Time to Get Together." I just released it as a single.
Okay.
And it's perfect for now too. It's oh my gosh, it's not a children's record, but it's amazing. It's available on iTunes. Called "It's Time to Get Together." My son, he just turned, I think, 28 now. He got a degree at the University of Michigan in aerospace engineering. And
rocket science.
Yeah, and he actually was a gymnast. He was on the
gymnastics. Very good one.
Wow.
The gymnastics team there at the university. And while he was there, they got he was an NCAA champion twice and the Big Ten champion twice.
Wow. What's his name?
His name is Douglas Revels Johnson Jr., but we call him Revels.
Revels.
Right.
Of course.
So when he graduated, he used to call and he said, "Mom," because he had interned for Nassau, paid internship 3 summers in a row.
Wow.
When he graduated, he says, "Mom, I want to go out. I want to try for the Olympics in gymnastics." I'm like, "What?" He says, "Well, this is the time." So we, my husband and I, Doug and I, supported him. Go for it, So he actually, the last Olympics, he made it to the top 50 in the United States.
Excellent.
And he just missed the mark of making the Olympic trials. So, but he started a company called 4 Rings. And it's a combination, they deal with health, fitness, entertainment, and community.
Wow.
And it's such a great concept.
It is.
And they all these young people coming together and networking, and him bringing them together and doing like podcast, and he's just doing this whole thing. And even my daughter started a company called Cocoa Cakes, and she's working with children and adults with fitness, and a combination of dance moves and yoga and Pilates and.
What an active family.
Yeah. So
I remember when Dougie first started gymnastics. Cause my son did it with him.
Yeah.
Is that when we first met?
I met you from dance.
Yeah.
We were dance moms, remember?
Yeah,
we're the original dance moms.
Oh.
Yeah.
We really are. We were more interesting than what's out there right now.
I'm sure.
And so that's how we became friends,
Yeah. And then her husband used to bring Rebbe. I always called him Dougie because he used to wear glasses.
Right, thick glasses.
Yeah, thick ones. And he was always there with them.
Yeah.
And then my son quit after a while because he fell from, remember the rope on top when they were climbing? He fell from that.
Oh, boy.
But they caught him.
Yeah.
That's good.
But that's how I remember her son.
Yeah.
It's this little kid with thick glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, Sherry, I gotta say something real quick. Your agent is right across from you. Get Carol. That's your agent right there. I really know, and I say this with all due respect. I've been doing this show now for a while now. This is the most energy Carol has had ever. Ever. Because she knows you. She only got to a point on a Chicago radio show. Just now, she was like, "We're going on. Now we're going on. Don't you have a show?" You know? I mean, this is the most energy ever, but she's pro you, and I love that. But
Yeah.
You know
I didn't know she had it in her.
When she first started and she talked about Leon Ware, I had him, he was going to come in here, but Leon had cancer.
Yeah.
And when it came back, but I still walking, I miss him because I met him walking. And he wouldn't care if I told this story. When he told me he had cancer and I got to know, he said, "Well, do you know who I am?" I said, "No, who are you?" "Here, I'll give you my name, look it up." So I looked it up and I was blown away. So after that, I would watch him, and sometimes I thought he was dead. I'd walk up and bang on his window, "Leon, are you alive?" But when she talked about him, it really brought back memories for me because I really wanted him on this show, but he got worse. When it came back, he had went in remission, I think, for a few months, and then it came back really bad.
Yeah.
And it was tough because I would walk up to him, and Leon always had his weed. And he was always writing.
That was his medicine.
And Leon, did he finish the album? Because he was working on an album.
I think that
because I know you were supposed to be on it, and he wanted one of the Pointer Sisters on it.
Yeah, I don't. To be very honest, I have to call his wife and find out because I don't know. I know that he was working on it. He was close to being finished, but he just was a special person to me.
Very special.
And
skinny guy.
Yeah, just so cool. He's so
always
funny. And his conversation. Whoa. Sometimes his conversation would get so deep, it'd be like, we had him over for dinner, he and his wife, and we had a group of folks over, and then, he has this whole thing, what he call himself, I can't remember what it was. But he was this expert on love, and he had like a little show.
Doctor.
The love, yeah, right. And he'd start talking about things, and it'd be like, here goes Leon, right?
Yeah.
But I called him the Magic Man. And you know what? You know who else I've just thought about? You made me think about Bernard Eigner.
Oh, yeah.
The late Bernard Eigner. He passed.
I just heard that.
Right.
I think
Did you see
told
where
me.
Natalie Cole's son?
Yeah.
That was sad.
Yeah. And Bernard Eigner did a duet with me on my second Capitol album called the song's called Tonight, and I was a fan of his. Everything Must Change, but he did this song called Little Dreamer, and when it came time for me to decide who I wanted to do the duet with me, I thought about him. I said his voice is just awesome, and I called him, and he said sure, and he was so gracious.
Yeah, he's a real artist.
Yeah.
You know what I would love to do? I'd like to get you and Patrice to come in and do some. Y'all just do you.
Yeah, I'll talk to her and tell
Yeah, this
now
is Sherry.
Now, she's a professor or instructor at one of the local colleges here, right?
She's actually.
Where is she?
Does a part-time. She does a professorship at Berklee School of Music, so she's in and out. She does only a few weeks a year.
Okay.
But she is the department head of the contemporary music department for the School of Music at USC.
USC.
So
now, does she live here now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. And she's going into her fourth or fifth year, and she's doing that. And I've talked to some of the students; they love her.
Yeah,
what
I'm sure.
She brings to the program, but she still does her thing. She's still travels and
performs,
doing music direction and writing and working on movies and things like that.
Well, when she get one of those breaks, you guys just come in. You call me 24 hours in advance. Say we're coming down.
Yeah,
and the door will be open.
Okay, I'm gonna tell her.
Really?
Though what I like with Sherry is she sings this song. It's on your album. It's like a gospel song. You used to sing it at church.
His Eyes on the Sparrow.
It wasn't that. It was another one. I think The Light or something.
I should wear a crown.
She sings gospel. You sing a gospel song before you go out. She's got the most amazing voice.
Oh, totally.
That's your agent right there. That's your agent.
I know, huh? So this is on in my book. So when you get the book, Chris, the music CD comes with the book of the song.
Sweet.
So we recorded the songs. All the songs that are dedicated to the women and their stories are recorded. And I can't remember which chapter this is. So this is one of all of the songs are original except for this one, and I do a cover of one of Phoebe Snow's songs.
Oh,
so
Phoebe.
so this one, the woman who did this, her story is about when she was young and she was sick. She was molested by her dad, and so she tells that story and how the healing happens later on in life. And the chapter's called "I Sing Because I'm Free." And when she did the story, I decided this would be the song that's really great for her and her story. And when I told her what it was, she said, that is my favorite song. And it's just amazing how all these pieces came together without planning it to be that way. So I believe that there are no accidents. So this is an old standard, and I do an arrangement of it. Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home? You see, Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. And I sing because I'm happy. And I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches. I said, I know He watches. I said, I know He watches. I know He watches. I know He watches over me. Hey, hey, hey.
Sherry Brown. Sherry Brown. Ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Sherry. Sherry.
And some say Cherie.
Sherry. That is the real Sherry Brown. Thank you so much for being here today. And
my pleasure.
Dr.
It was
Gordon,
Pleasure.
thank you so much. And please, will you come back?
Yes, I would love to. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Anytime you have something special going on, call me, call Carol, and we'll get you in.
Thank you.
Because what you're doing is so, so important. Mental health is a very important thing. It's near and dear to my heart. And because I always say, we need to stay on top of our dysfunctional family members, and I don't mean that in a negative way, But we see things that are happening, and we need to fix it. It's up to us. Mom, dad, grandma, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts. It starts at home with family.
Absolutely.
Don't ignore it. God bless you and your work. Sherry, thank you so much for taking the time to come down to be on the Lee Michaels and Carol show. Anytime.
Thank you,
and
Carol,
get Patrice in here, so I want to see y'all just do it.
Okay.
That'd be so much fun. All right, folks, thanks so much for being here with the Lee Michaels Show with Carol and the cast of characters.
Thank you.
And we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on thepowerofvoices.com. Have a great day. Peace and love.